thing I may talk of like it is also demanding in terms of money.
Financially.
You know, worship team wale mnaonanga pale mbele wamevaa hizo uniform by the way wa na church. Ni wao huwa wanajizize. They commit themselves to become smart. So we are talking in terms of finances. When the team is giving 1,000 to you know, me, my wife, we are one. So if you are giving 5,000, how much is that? So still, it's not a challenge. It's a blessing because God will have to provide. Sure. There's a need for that. So basically, mostly because I've got a lot of positives. That's what I may call a challenge. Kama saa hii, we just left home. Our practice session. It's almost 8. Hatujafika home. No, kids are there. By the way, for those who have kids, it has been like that. Every evening, when I pick our kids from school, they ask me, Daddy, I hope we went to church. I remind them, but you remember, every Tuesday and every Thursday is our day of going to church for practice. So it's a challenge in that nature, because for the kids, they want time with us. Kwanza hiyo story ya CV kama sasa hivi ukitoka hapa, we've got to go and do those kind of homeworks. Assignments.
And maybe to add on what he has said, another challenge, I would say sometimes being in the same department with your spouse, it can be challenging because you don't know when to handle him as your husband and as a ministry partner. As your husband and as a ministry partner. Especially for us who are serving, you've heard he's the leader of our team. So sometimes he needs to be strict with the members of the team. I am there, I am the wife. So akiweka strictness, na ni mzuri sana at that. Akiweka strictness, mimi pia ninawekwa, mpaka zingine nashangaa hata unielewi tu hata uone tu mimi ni bibi yako. But he has to do that as a leader. On my side, the same way, I need to respect him as my leader of the team, of the ministry, and also know when to handle him as my husband. So it is also a challenge, by the way. There are times I expect him to understand me as his wife. Let's talk of the issues of giving. Sometimes amesema every team member is giving. Mi nasema si ni mzee wangu, siende provider. Toa. But to him, okay, he does that most of the time. But to him, sometimes he's giving me that challenge of, you are also a part of this team. You also need to give. So you see, balancing how to handle him as a ministry mate and how to handle him as your spouse, it's a bit tricky. And peer to emphasize on the issue of family roles and responsibilities, it's not easy. Because sometimes you may find yourself, you have spent a lot of time in the issues of ministry. And you see now, wale wenye mmoja ako kwa ministry, mmoja ako nyumbani, at least anaweza saidia kuplay some of those roles. But sasa both of you are there. So to our children, but one thing we do, we told God to help us and to give us wisdom. And whenever we neglect them, God had to quicken to understand. And sometimes it gets to that place and we put everything aside and we say this weekend is ours with our children. And we just spend some good time with them. Ama sometimes some weekly meetings, we just decide, this is a wiki, we are not going to attend because we need time with our children.
I've met many worshippers. Now, wanasemanga, I cannot marry someone who is in the same ministry as me. You know, personally also have that fear. Personally also have that fear. Nakaka hivi nafikiria, you know, marrying a worshipper who is like me, naona kama ataendanga kunitoa makosa jioni. Sasa leo ulikuwa unaimba, hiyo ni nini? Hiyo ni kigani ulikuwa unaimba? So how do you balance now family and ministry? Leo nasema, hiyo balance mliipata wapi? Now that you married for 12 years.
Before she comes in on that, let me bring out this point. Because you've talked about how do you balance that? Because like you said, like you feel like you're fearing when you go home, he might or she might like correct you. Hapa ulipa kigani? You know, basically marriage is about complementing each other. That is key. That because it does not mean that because you are not in the same ministry and you serve in ushering, you serve in hospitality department, and he or she serves in the other one. So you will not maybe correct. Yatakwambia sasa pale mbele kuna tembea hapo hapa mbele and see he or she will. So I think this is a perfect thing. Ni vile sasa we are graced differently. You know, like I've told you, we did not find ourselves in the worship. We did not begin dating in the worship team. It came later. Although it did not stay for long. But what I mean is that, number one, Millie, either you are or whatever, it's not about ministry now. Putting ministry aside. You must be able to see the strength of your partner. She must be able to see the strength in you. He must be able to see the strength in her. Is it okay? Therefore, if your joy is seeing your partner strong, then, even in the way you are bringing the issue of correction, it should be in a way of like love. Because Millie, she can tell you because she's here, not because we are in the front of the camera. Zile compliment mempea in terms of worship. And by the way, every song I listen to, I want her to lead it. Because I know she can. There's that part she can than I can. And maybe the other way around. It should not become like fear. Like if you're in the same ministry, why? It's not about competition. Because we are not competing today, she will do it tomorrow. Now come to show the church. And my wife is one who was leading the other day. She had a mess. That's a mimi. I'm Mr. Perfect. Mr. Sa now is leading today, and that does not even necessarily mean because you are a couple. Even if it is any other member. It should be like, anytime, be there any kind of correction, it should be done in love. But now back to the point of how do we balance it? Like I've said, you help her becoming the best. She helps me becoming the best. Because there's a time she will tell me, honey, even if you are doing something, maybe don't do too much of this, don't do too much of that. Not because of the church, but for the sake of the entire picture. Not for the sake because of you are there. Even that other time you might go to another place, invite them to another place. What do you do? What should you not do? So I think the perfect thing, and thou should even lay hands on you, is to get that brother. If you get that sister, in the same ministry, my goodness, it is the perfect thing. Why? Ask me why. Because two are better than one. Millie is not once, it's not twice, it's not thrice. Not even, I don't know how many times you wake up and you feel like, hi, Mimi kesho church, second service. And you are sure about that. But then she tells you, honey, you can't do that. You are the worship minister. You are a worship minister, and you're not a worship. Actually, another point, you're not a worship minister because you are leading with the mic. At the time, where you're a worship minister because you are leading. Any day, whether you must be disciplined. Every worship minister must be disciplined. See at where you na lead your worship minister.
Unapatikana.
Ule mwenye anaongoza pale mbele na mwenye kwa backup, same role. Unanipata, ni vile tu yako na mic. But how can he or she lead without a strong backup? So everybody, that's even what we train in our place. Everybody is an equal, not come for equal partner. You're playing an equal role. But balancing the two is the best because at an particular encouragement, unless she's seriously sick, unless I'm seriously sick, or unless we are not, maybe traveled. But it is the best thing ever. It is the best thing ever. These are the things now. Those are the gears. Those are the things those are more relational issues that need to be dealt with actually. Like, why would you, for heaven's sake, why would you criticize actually your spouse now? Leave alone anybody, your spouse, kwa sababu aliba wrong key. Why would you do that? It should not be like that. So I encourage you and anybody, the best feeling ever get that husband, get that wife who you can serve in the same ministry. It's good. But if not, kindly, we have seen others who are serving in ushering, somebody is serving in another department. One thing is that compliment your partner. Usimwachanishe.
I have done some research and statistics show most worshippers are not married. Sana young worshippers, they're not married. Mm-hmm. And those who are, kama sasa kuna marriages that are breaking, marriages that are from the worshippers. Mm-hmm. Kama we notice. Mm-hmm. Even in our country, I don't want to mention names. Mm-hmm. Gospel artists, the gospel ministry right now. Marriages unapata marriage ya, very worshippers who are very known. Unapata marriages zao haziko anymore. So how can you judge that? What is the problem? What is eating, the marriages of worshippers? If I may bring that question like that. Nini hiyo inawakula huku chini? Ukienda kwa worship teams nyingi unapatanga worshippers wengi they are very single. And those who are married, if ukienda na statistics, zina work. I mean, it's like even 2 out of 10. Most of them are breaking, and divorce is on a very high rate in the gospel ministry. What is happening to our generation?
I have 1, 2, 3 things, but before I come in, maybe she might be having something to say. Hata ile ya kwanza hakusema.
Okay, maybe when it comes to issues of marriage, I don't know, but on my side, I will not want to put it in terms of worshippers, because marriage is marriage. Marriage ya mchungaji ni marriage ya worshipper ni marriage ya asha ni marriage. So marriage itself, hakuna ile imeandikwa worshippers marriage, asha's marriage, and now we talk of worshippers marriage ndio ina fail, asha's marriage ziko poa. Marriage is marriage, and the principles of marriage must be applied for any marriage. Wow. Whether you are the president, whether you are an usher, whether you are an intercessor, you can pray so well, but if you don't apply your principles of marriage, your marriage will fail. So when we think of that widely, we just want to ask ourselves, what are these marriage principles? And maybe the worshippers are not applying. Maybe they are not playing their roles well in their homes. Maybe their choices of marriage partners are wrong. They marry for different reasons. There are those who marry because maybe in that area of worship. There are those who marry because anataka kuonekana alioa mtu fulani. You're not marrying for the right reason. You're marrying for a certain name. Kujulikana, sasa fulani alioa fulani. And you see, when it comes to the principles of marriage, yeah, about love and about courtship and about relationship and about knowing the person you marry, it still has to apply. And if you don't apply that, your marriage will automatically fail. Maybe that's what I will put, because it is not only in worship. If you've realized, divorces are all over. Ziko all over. Hata si kwa worshippers peke yake, by the way. Kwa watu wengi sana. Tuseme kwa churches tu iko all over. The question is asking ourselves, where are we going wrong? All of us, not only. When it comes, if you've observed in the worship department, able to do your research so well, the reasons behind the divorces and so on, how are those marriages started? Hizo marriages zilianzwa aje? What was the intention? What was the reason behind that marriage starting? Some of our worshippers, and I'm sorry to say, they're just there for fame. Maybe umeimba, umejulikana, so you also want to do a big wedding with a beautiful woman, with the daughter of so and so, but that daughter of so and so, is she the wife that God has put in place for you? It will automatically fail.
Wow. Yeah, just put it well. By the way, to add on what my wife had said, it's true. Hakuna ile tag, there's no tag. this is attack for I'm giving you a ring, Manasseh, in the name of the Father, of the Son, of the Holy Spirit. You are, and remember, you are a worship minister. So this marriage represents the worship whatever. Sasa wewe na wewe, sasa wewe unajua worship. But I would like to expand my mind and agree with you for this one reason. We are in the generation of social media. When you open the Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere, YouTube, you find people there. Now, who do you expect to find there? People who are at least doing something. Who are those people doing something? You might maybe a singer. Because who to find Asha? Who to find an intercessor doing activities of intercession in the TikTok? Who to find an usher doing the activities of ushering in the YouTube or in the television? You know, so when you put on that television, the people you find there inachukua wale wenye wana give what is expected to be listened to, music. Then it takes us back to the first question. Because, you know, by the way, to some extent, it's only that there are different ways of expressing worship. It's only that now here there is a worshipper who expresses this through singing. You know, there is this worshipper who expresses this, because even a preacher should be a worshipper. By the way, everybody must be, should, okay, not must, should be. If you are in the body of Christ, you know, like I told you from the beginning, the Bible talks of, now whoever worship must worship me in the spirit and in the truth. So you must have the Spirit of God. So who is this person who is not supposed to have the Spirit of God? So maybe for the sake of time, the reason we are seeing it like it is only for those who are in the worship ministry or in the industry or whatever, it is because majority wa wale tunajua wako kwa huo limelight. Kwa huo limelight. Wanipata. Then secondly, it brings me now to this question. Why are you there? Why do you sing? Why? Because you realize this one, so alimba yule wimbo, ule mwenye ule wimbo, I'm a divorced guy. Unanipata. It comes down to the reason of why was your reason of doing this. Unanipata mili. So it's not really because ni ndoa za waibanji. Definitely, generally speaking, marriages are Christians zinachapwa. But now also, one thing again, what is the role of a worshipper? A worshipper is a person that, you know, creates the environment of God to move in a certain place. What would be the target of the devil? Who would be the target of the enemy? Definitely. You know, like, I love watching the secret agents. These movies that kuoneshana vile, you know, Obama analindwa. You know, I love those things. So, this worshipper is downloading. You know, worship comes even before anything else in church. Because yani tunataka create that environment. That is the role of a worship. You know, wewe kila wakati uko mbele ya Mungu, download from God. You know, kazi yako ni kutoka kwa Mungu. You touch the attribute of God in terms of healing. You touch the attribute of God in terms of salvation. You touch the attribute of God in terms of giving. Yani kazi yako ni, you know, a worshipper is such a sensitive, great, important role to play. Therefore, if we get that serious person, and now for one reason or the other, he is not sensitive or he is not serious, what will the devil do? He will atandamana nawe kama mouse ka computer, akitaka kushika Miriam, akitaka kushika Manasseh. That is why you find unholy marriages. Shetani kushikia hapo. Kuisha anajua wewe imbeni tu kwa kachachi. Tunajua mahali tulianzania, the altar tunajua. Tunajua mahali uliangukia. Wewe imbanga tu huko, lakini one day, because if you don't deal with that, you know, it will still. Remember the devil himself. Alikuanga wapi? He was divorced with my sin. From up there. Because alianza kuchukua worship nia. So pia it is a sensitive thing such that hata ukitumika na Mungu, jikumbuke If you don't work on the small things, my friend, divorce for 40 years, even 50 years in marriage, you know. But the good thing is, a real worshipper who is day in, day out, is crying, learning to God. I was standing in the book of Romans, chapter number 12, verse 1, 2, 3. The biggest benefit we have of a worshipper, the best benefit is the benefit of transformation. Because be ye transformed to the image of God. So every moment, if there is no, kama kuna ndoa ivai kuanguka, kama kuna ndoa ivai kukufa, ni ndoa ya muimbaji. Because huyo ni Mungu, by the way. Yeye na Mungu wanakuwa hapa. Unapata? He or she is, you know, wako hapo wanakaa pale kwa okay, sisi wengine wakai pale. But you understand what I mean? Therefore, ukiona zinaanguka, now it brings the aspect of mtajua kama tudaya. It's just unfortunate. And also again, because this could be one another day, the institution of marriage, it is really being fought. And one of the fights are this. Mimi ninajua. Unajua. So, the devil not allow you to seek help, to ask for help. Now the moment unaenda pale juu, kama unaanza vizuri, I assure you, even if you are the bishop, even if you are whoever, itaanguka tu. It's about foundation. Yeah. So either you are whatever, let people learn. Because about the institution of marriage, it allowed, there is a law that can bring to it getting crumbled. But the aspect of the reason as to why it is so much widened in the air, it is because these are the people we are always seeing in the social media, you know. But see, that does not mean behind the scenes, uko kwa church kuna shida mingi sana, kuna vitu mingi sana. Okay. Yeah, but can I have something?
Yes.
In the book of Genesis, I know she said that she loved me because I quoted in the Bible, so I will not quote. In the book of Genesis,
chapter and verse.
Genesis chapter number 18. I hope I'm quoting the right thing. Chapter number, is it chapter 18, 19? Either way, Genesis 18, 19. Like this story of God going to check about Sodom and Gomorrah. Down there, verse 19, alisema, why should I hide it from Abraham? After all, I've decided it is through him that the entire universe shall be blessed. So you see how God values the marriage of a worshipper, the marriage of a believer. It is through us that this world will be healed. It is through the marriage of believers. It is through the marriage of that person who is doing whatever he or she is doing in the church that this world will be saved. You know, and God revealed it to Abraham that I'm going to do this and that. So ukifika pahali pa kwamba wewe Mungu anakufichiria siri zake zile anataka kufanya kwa ulimwengu, kweli hiyo ndoa ni ya kuanguka. It is a failure. There's a place we are not doing right. God is the initiator of marriage. He cannot initiate something that is meant to fail. He is God, the super one.
Wow.
Metanika kwa marriage.
Allow us to come.
Well, are still in the context of marriage?
Allow us to come to the end of our discussion today. I believe we have learned so much, and we will invite you again.
Oh,
I believe marriage is a very wide topic, and worshippers need to understand some basics, even before running to marriages. You know, there's a time, even as we conclude, mtu anakukuta anakuambia, you know, I'll marry you because of how you sing.
Imagine.
No, there are very many things that worshippers need to protect themselves from. So even as we come to the end, maybe you can share your final thoughts with the worshippers out there. Encourage those who are in marriages, those who are in the same ministry with their partners. Can just encourage them. And those who are fearing to enter into marriages with people of the same ministry, can just give your final thoughts to them even as we come to the end.
My final pause, because you can only put a pause here, is that to a worshipper, you just know that you have a greater mandate as a worship minister you have a greater mandate. And this should not be like you are a worship minister because you sing. It is a lifestyle. Uko nje, job, anywhere, in whatever you do, you are a carrier. You are the one that brings the attributes of God to his people. So carry that mandate very seriously. Believe in yourself and let God be the reason of anything that you do. Don't sing because you got a good voice. Don't sing because you want to have views, followers. Sing because you want to see God manifested to his people. And if you are in the marriage setup, do it together. Do it together. Even if you are in whichever department, different department, do those things together. For the sake of those also who are following, you may see. And see mtu akioa inakuwa ni shida. Enjoy it, serve and enjoy it. I think that's what I would say.
Thank you.
To all the worshippers, I would also like to advise you, to tell you, you are not limited. There's one thing our mama in our church normally tells us as worshippers. It is very much possible for God to use you even to bring healing before the preacher starts to preach. So you are not limited. I would like to encourage you, spend a lot of time with God. I have loved spending time with God, especially when I want to say that is the only time I spend time with God, but especially when I know I'm leading the service. I have loved to spend time with God. Yani God does not conceal any matter from us. He reveals things to us. And after you've spent enough time with God, and then you go and do your assignments, the rest achia Mungu. These are not your people, these are God's people. Don't be so much concerned. Walibarikiwa hawakubarikiwa. Don't be so much concerned. Waliruka hawakuruka. That is not your business. Your business is sanctification. The Bible talks about if you cleanse yourself and you're available as a vessel, He's ready to use you. So watch your ways. God works with people who are holy. God works with a clean vessel. Watch your ways. Purpose to please God in everything that you do. Strive to live a holy life as a worshiper. Don't mix up yourself and expect to be used of God. Kindly purpose to live a holy life. Number 2, spend a lot of time with God through prayer and through reading His Word. I think that is what I can say. For those that are serving with your spouses, if you're a wife, know the boundaries. Remember your roles at home. Usikuje userve na mzee and kids are at home, they are waiting for you. Mtamaliza practice na utaenda kupika sapa. Atakaa tu hapo. So what I'm telling you is that be organized, and I think I have spoken most of those things in my YouTube channel. Maybe Millie will share it with you. I've spoken most of those things on balancing ministry and family and so on. Kindly you can watch that. But remember your roles. Provided you're serving, ministry also at home is very much important. I think that's what I can say for today.
Thank you very much for gracing us and for agreeing to come at this particular time.
Yeah.
Asanteni sana. I don't take it in vain.
You're also very grateful.
I've also learned a lot. Nasemanga the worshiper refill, we are here to be refilled.
Yeah.
As worshippers and also many worshippers who are watching this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And allow me to invite you again and again.
Anytime. Anytime.
Asanteni. So thank you very much. We're going to close our discussion here. And thank you very much for joining us, for loving us, for supporting us. Continue subscribing, continue liking, commenting, sharing with many worshippers out there for us to grow this kingdom together. Thank you very much. Till next time, Baraka.
Shalom.
Shalom.